Whether you are preparing for a Red Hat certified specialist or a senior DevSecOps interview or building the multi-cloud OpenShift environment, so this document help you as you master level it all. So let's go with the questions and answer. The first question is, what is the primary technology that OpenShift is built upon? Here they given four options: Docker, Podman, Kubernetes, and Ansible. Here the answer is Kubernetes. So why both, it can display the both OpenShift and the Kubernetes API versions. The OpenShift runs on the Kubernetes. That's what only here we have to select the Kubernetes. So once we have installation done, just if you want to go and check the version, simply we can type command like OC and version that will display the OpenShift version. Question number two: which command displays an application OpenShift? OC apply, OC run, OC run, and OC start. Sorry. See, which command deploys will not display. Sorry, deploys an application in O. See, if you want to deploy any application in OpenShift, so there is a command called OC new hyphen app. So this one will create the deployment file. So this is the command. If you want to create a deployment file, this is the command. OC new hyphen app. This is the uh, this is called the GitHub link. So based on that one, that will create um, the deployment file. In the deployment file, once it has been created, directly you can go and edit and whatever requirement you have to change, just you can change and again you can save it and run again. So why it was? So create a building config, deployment config, and service and image stream automatically. What is the path in OpenShift Kubernetes? Here he asked either in OpenShift or Kubernetes. What is the path? Simply they given four options: node, group of containers, config and run. Here we can say group of containers. See, let's say for example, let's say you can take one cluster. Inside the clusters contains many nodes. Okay. Node contains many pods. Pod contain many clusters. So here what is saying? They ask inside the pod, right? So the pod contain group of containers. So the container means here simply uh, okay. The answer is here. The answer is given group of containers. But the thing is here the definition of the pod they given the pod is the smallest deployable unit that groups containers sharing the storage and network. Yes, simply the pod is the deployable unit, but that contains the containers, right? It contains the containers and sharing the storage and networking. See here the API version kind means it's for pod or node or container that can indicate. Here we are talking about the pods, so that's what only we are indicating the pod. Name. Name here, this is the Nginx pod. Here the name as image. Image means here this is, we have to add Docker image. Docker image we have to add here. So like for example, if you want to update any version change, instead of latest, you can update version 2, version 2, version 3, version 4, something. Okay. How does OpenShift expose service to external traffic? Okay. How does OpenShift expose service to external traffic? Here ingress, node port, route, service mesh. See here, like if you want to shift the traffic, here we have to use the route. Route, simply route means what? Route means it's like a routing the each and every application. See, for example, it's like a traffic management. For example, once your application has been done, so from where to where, like incoming and outgoing traffic, when you are going to call, so here we have to use the routes for um, here we have to use the routes for the traffic system. So this is actually, see here OC expert SCC MyApp hyphen host name equal to MyApp dot CloudHired dot dev. See, for example, this means for example, if you want to route the dev environment, just based on these comments, we have to route it. So, for example, whenever you have applications, like for example, in your application, there is a many components. So each component, if you want to target the particular component, like if you route the traffic into the particular component, just you have to use the routes. Okay, why this was? So create a route mapping service to external host names for public access. Create a routes mapping service to external host name for public access. Let's say you have the one host name like www dot some like you can take any website, so like test.com, like demo.com, something like that. So if you want to access that particular traffic to public access, so this one we internally we have to configure the routing mapping service to external host for public access. Okay, which storage type provides persistent storage? Okay, yeah, persistent storage. Okay, see here, what is the persistent storage? Here, persistent storage means retains the data even after pod restart and delete. See, let's say, for example, when the pod is deleted, when the no, when the pod is deleted, so another pod will start, right? In between, when the pod is deleted, it will recreate another pod. That means auto scaling, right? The based on the scaling, it will recreate, but in between, the persistent volume can handle the storage. In between, like when you're going to create and delete, that kind of time, if you add the persistent volume, the data we should not lose. So that's kind of scenarios when you're going to handle, we have to use the persistent storage. So here you can see, let's say here uh, the kind of persistent value claim. Here we have to give persistent value claim. Either we can use a DB PVC. Let's say here we have given like 10 gigabyte. So 10 gigabytes when we are using, whenever the pod and the node delete, so we have to use the 10G. That means not 10, this is based on requirement. Like you can use it based on the like 10G, 20, whatever it is. Okay, what does source to image S2I do in OpenShift? Mm, builds image from the source code, manage routes, create the CRDs, configure SCC. Yes, that means here we have to use S2I means that build image from the source code. S2I means build image from the source code. This is very important question. These are all very common questions actually, common interview questions. But in the common questions, when the interviewer will ask like top 10 questions, means this will come. Okay. Build image from the source. See, this is the command we can use. Okay. Why it was automate build image deploy pipeline for the developer. Which CI/CD tool is integrated into OpenShift by default. Yes, by default actually. Jenkins, see, when you are going to set up a OpenShift, by default it can contains many tools actually. So in that Jenkins is one of the tool. Jenkins by default it will come. The GitLab is an external tool. Argo CD or Tekton is an external tool, but Jenkins by default it contains. Okay. See, if you want to install GitLab, that's different. Separate you have to set up. But when you set up OpenShift, by default it will come. That's called Jenkins. Okay. For this version new app and Jenkins Appermal. Why? The Jenkins integrate directly with build configs and deployment configs for pipeline. Okay. What are operators in OpenShift? What are operators in OpenShift? Hidden users, custom controls, config map, secrets. OC get operators. Here we have to use the custom controllers. Operators means differently it will come the custom controller. Then we can remind it what are the operators in OpenShift means. You have to remind them it's a custom controller. Custom the operators automates installation, scaling, and management for the complex applications. Say, for example, if you want to automate the installation or scaling or management, whatever you have to do, but by using custom controllers only, you have to do. Okay, what is the OpenShift Online? On-prem medicine or the managed cloud services, CLI tool or template library. It's completely managed managed cloud services. Red Hat is a software as a service offering for OpenShift on public cloud. Okay. Question number 10. Which command creates and view routes? Views and routes. Okay. Okay. Which command creates and view routes? See here you can use the OC export. So OC export, especially my app. Export internal service external via public DNS routes. What is the difference between operators and CRDs? The CRDs defines the APIs. CRDs defines API operators automatic life cycles. See here, CRD defines the custom objects. Operators add automatic logic. Which command scale replica for deployment config? Here, POSIX scale. POSIX scale is for the deployment config that can scale up. This is very important. This is very important. Okay. See, increase the pod replicas for load management. For example, you have currently you have two pods, right? If you want to scale up to four, you have to use this command. Okay, OC scale up DC and my app name and replica equal to 4 means that can scale up 2 to 4. It will increase the replicas for the load management. How can route be secured with HTTPS? Okay. Yeah, TL certificate, use SCC, enable config map, set research quota. You have to use the how can a route to be secured with HTTPS means you have to use the TLS certificate. Okay, this is the command you have to use. Enable TLS encryption for the secure HTTPS access. How how are custom configuration pass to the parts? Config map, definitely config map. Here externalize configuration for easier updates. What do SCC? That means security context constraints. Okay, SCC control that means pod privileges. pod privileges. OC get SSC restricted. Okay. Restricted means see restrict here why restricts root user and privileged mode to the enhanced security, which OpenShift object supports automatic rollback. Deployment config only you can automate the rollout or rollback. Returns to previous table deployment after fail. Okay. How can you how can apps to be auto scaled based on CPU usage? HPA horizontal pod auto scale. Here you can use it. Automatically reduce the repeat underline. Which component manage the microservices, traffic and observability, service mesh, controls traffic routing, retides, and service security. What is the role of building config? Automatic building apps. Automatic the CI/CD pipeline from the source to image. What does OpenShift handle canary deployment? Routes with weights. See here, you can see here weight, right? See, like version 1 to version 2, if you want to sit the traffic, would we know what is canary deployment. Canary deployment, for example, version 1 is 100%, version 2 is if you want to move the 100%, like first we have to move the 10%, 20%, 30%, and 50 and 70 as well. Last finally you have to 100% when you're going to move. Then each when you're going to move each percent, just you can check the traffic. If it's successful, then you can move the like a next like 20%, 30% only. So based on that only canary deployment we can handle, right? So that's what only where we can change in the percentage. Here you have to use the in the destination rules you have to use the weight. Okay, routes 10% of the traffic to the new version for a gradual rollout. You have to gradually you have to move like version 1 to version 2. Which tool collects the metric in OpenShift? Prometheus. Prometheus and Grafana, it's a monitoring tool. So Prometheus it will collect the raw data, and Grafana that will visualize the data. Okay. Which logging stack is used by OpenStack? Okay. Which logging stack used by the OpenStack? OpenShift by default OpenShift EFK. Okay. This is the OC get pod I think OpenShift logging. That is the command to check the log. Okay. See, EFK means Elasticsearch Fluent Fluentd Kibana. Provide the centralized logging system. Okay. Which tool provides the GitOps functionality in OpenShift? Argo CD. GitOps. Argo CD. Okay. This is the command. Okay. This one. Sync Kubernetes manifest from the GitHub repository declaratives. See, for example, whenever it will, what means GitOps means syncs Kubernetes manifest from the GitHub repository. CI/CD tool is used is Kubernetes native in OpenShift. Tekton, okay. Which CI/CD tool is Kubernetes native in OpenShift? Okay. See here in CI/CD tool by default Tekton is it will come. Tekton will come by default. Not okay. This means for example when you use the GitHub in the GitHub actions we will run the pipelines everything. Like that in Jenkins also we will use. But by default, what it will come the CI/CD tool means Tekton. Okay. Uses CRDs defines a pipeline running as a pod. How does OpenShift integrate with external CI/CD tools, webhooks and APIs? Okay. Look at this. Enable automated builds on GitOps events. Okay. Which tool handle cluster backups? Velora. Okay. Backup, YAML and PVC and CPS. So Velora is For backup purpose, we have to use the which tool handle the cluster backups. So cluster backups, we have to use the below. Okay. You can see here there's many type of backups, pod backup, node backup. Complete cluster, if you want to take backup, you have to use the Velora. How can sensitive environment variable to be secure? Secrets, configuration PVCs routes. So secrets are encrypted and safe for the credential. What is the purpose of daemon set? Run one pod per node. Okay, daemon set means daemon set run one pod per node. For example, by default, daemon set what it will do? Only run one pod for one node. Each node can run only one pod. If you want to increase, you can increase it. So here, use it for the monitoring and logging. Okay? What are the default OpenShift network plugin? OpenShift SDN. Okay. By default, it will have OpenShift SDN, but now people are using uh, OVN architecture Kubernetes. So earlier OpenShift SDN have used, but the currently CNI like CNI container network interface currently people are using OVN architect OVN Kubernetes CNI. So the OpenShift SDN by default it will come provides the internal networking between the pods and services. How can you route to be secured with full TLS encryption pass through? Okay, TLS terminate the pod maintaining full end-to-end encryption. How does OpenShift manage the multiple clusters? Okay, ACM, Advanced Cluster Management. Advanced Cluster Management. See here, multiple clusters. People, this is also very important. People will ask, commonly will ask the question, like top 10 it will come definitely. Like now top 5 will come because how you can handle how you are going to handle the clusters in OpenShift definitely you have to answer advanced cluster management. Okay, provides a unified view and governance for multi-cluster and multi-cloud deployment purpose. You can use the ACM, Advanced Cluster Management. Okay, which tool visualize service to service traffic? Purely. See, for example, visualizes. For example, whenever you have to, we have to gradually, whenever, for let's say, when you are going to use the candidate deployment, gradually like you shift the traffic like 100% to 100% like 10% 20 30% and gradually when you going to move the traffic. So here is the visualization like in clearly you can check the like it's like when you move the traffic gradually 100% it's successfully run or not. The here is the visualize yes sir, like service to service traffic we have to use the clearly tool. Visualize the traffic flow latency in the service mesh. Service mesh, you know, right? This is called service mesh. It's like Istio. Istio, when you're going to use Istio, so by default, when you're going to set up the Istio, by default, the TL is the visualization tool. So, like, so for example, we have using the graph on RI. So, like that only the TL is the visualization tool to check the traffic flow. Like, yeah, the gradual traffic moved or not. So, one the 10% when you're going to move the 10% traffic it's completely like when it's completely 100% successful done then we have to go for the to move next 20% 30% like something like that gradually you have to move the traffic until 100%. Hope GitOps is built on which tool? GitOps built on the Argo CD. Okay, decorated deployment through the GitOps methodology. Which stack handle the centralized logging EFK Elastic Kibana Elastic Logistic Kibana. Say why Fluent collects the logs. Fluent bit actually this people Fluent bit actually here Fluent bit also Fluent D means collect the logs. Elastic source Kibana and Kibana is visualize. Default authentication provides an OpenShift OAuth. integrated with the multiple identity providers. What system control the user roles and permissions? RBAC, rollbacks. You see, based on the users and permissions, role-based access control. RBAC is the answer. So assign fine-grained access control. How do you limit resources in namespace? Resource quota. Parts prevents resource hogging by single problem. Which command checks the cluster operator health? OC get co. Shows the cluster operator their status conditions. Okay. Which which dashboard visualizes the performance metric graph on? What is the tool runs VMs alongside the container? CNV. Okay. CNV. Run legacy workloads on OpenShift. What validates the API request in OpenShift? Admission control. Ensures the policies are applied before the object creation. Which data set maintain OpenShift cluster rate? etc. etc is the key value store. Okay. etc is the key value store for Kubernetes and OpenShift state. So, which data store maintain OpenShift cluster state? Which command lists image? Was get image streams. Okay. Shows the available image tags and versions. Okay, this command will show the available image tags and version. How many images are there? How many tags are there? So based on that only, this the OC get image streams will show. What handle automatic rollback after failures? Deployment config. So detects the failed rollout and revert the automatically. Which manager supports hybrid and multi-cloud OpenShift? See, ACM already we have discussed earlier. Okay. Advanced cluster management. So this ACM manager supports the hybrid and multi-cloud architecture. Okay. Uh, okay. Why manage the multiple OpenShift cluster from the one console only? Because manage multiple OpenShift cluster from one console. Which command list all projects? OSI projects. Okay. Which command shows the new cluster version? OSI get cluster version. Which namespace holds the system component? Cube system. Okay, cube system. What manages the centralized user authentication? OAuth and with the LDAP. Centralized. LDAP and OAuth. Okay. Combine the OAuth and LDAP for enterprise SSO integration. Okay. Okay. What is the biggest advantage of OpenShift? See, biggest advantage it's free to use. These are all the four options. Enterprise grade CI/CD and security. That means combines combines Kubernetes, DevSecOps automation, governance.